When you are stuck, like really stuck, what's the first question you ask yourself? Most of us ask, how do I fix this? What do I do? Why does this keep happening to me? That sounds familiar. And then we wonder why we stay stuck. Here's what I've learned after 15 years of training and coaching leaders through their messiest challenges, including my own messy challenges in life, relationships, and all the things. Getting unstuck isn't about finding better answers. It's about asking better questions. The quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of the question you ask yourself at the moment. And so if you are feeling stuck right now, don't rush to change your life overnight. Start by changing the question that you're asking yourself at the moment. Because for me, what I've learned is that better questions don't just create better answers or opportunities, they create better versions of ourselves. There's no greater feeling than being able to talk yourself out of a mess, okay? And so for me, questions are your bridge to clarity, confidence, calm, and connection. Connection first and foremost with yourself, and connection later with others. And so lately, I've been practicing different questions, not just about what's going wrong, but what's still here, Candia. What might I be missing? What am I missing? Those questions don't deny my reality, they expand possibility per se. And so for me, I've learned that a bad question will keep you spinning on coulda, woulda, shoulda street. A bad question will keep you stuck in regret, but better questions set you free. What's good, y'all? It's your girl Candia, your hype woman, helping you show up, speak up, and lead without losing it at work and at life. So today we are talking about how asking better questions is the key to getting unstuck, and how to know also when you're asking the wrong question entirely. Because I think the brain is going to do what the brain is going to do. It's going to automatically come up with a question that's limiting. And so it's important that you're able to recognize the limiting thought and sit with it for a second and reframe it into a question that can serve you in the moment. I just want you to think about, though, the last time that you felt overwhelmed or you had a problem spinning around in your head. Maybe you asked yourself, "Oh, how am I going to get all of this done?" And you probably sat there making lists, moving things around, trying to squeeze 40 hours of work into a 24-hour day, forgetting that you have to sleep, eat, and all the things. And that little list probably made you feel like you were problem solving, but then you still stayed stuck. Y'all, I'm only laughing because I'm talking about myself, okay? Please know that. But anywho, you stayed stuck because you were asking a logical question when you really needed a relational one, especially when you're dealing with something like overwhelm. The better question wasn't how can I get it all done? The better question was who can help me? Whose expertise do I need today? You see the difference? One question keeps you stuck in solo execution mode, which leaders often do. The other question, however, opens you up to collaboration, delegation, and leverage. This is why I'm such a fan. And if you've taken classes with me before and you are leading people or leading initiatives, you know one of the principles that I often share is who, not how. Because, again, one better question can shift your entire perspective and open you up to opportunities that you hadn't considered. And if we look at even examples of how this works in real life, you think about times in your career where maybe you are at the crossroads and you're thinking, what else could I do with my life? And this keeps you thinking laterally. And so you're thinking about jobs, other industries, But for me, one of the biggest mistakes that we make is pigeon-toeing ourselves into jobs and titles and all the things. So for me, a better question has always been, what problem am I uniquely positioned to solve right now? That helps you think seasonal. When you think about your career, maybe you're just solving this problem for the next 5 years, not your entire life. And so for me, a question, what else could I do versus what problem am I positioned to solve right now? This is about your purpose, the timing, not just titles and all the things. Another question that I asked myself when I thought I was at a crossroads a few years ago was, God, how else do I want to express my gifts in this season? And so for me, it reaffirms that one, I'm not starting from scratch. I already have gifts. I'm now trying to explore new ways to express these gifts. And it also, how else do I want to express my gifts in the season? It also removes the pressure of permanent decisions because seasons change. And even, I think I talked about this on this podcast. So, y'all, I gave up alcohol. It's been 1 year without alcohol, and I'm so proud of myself. But here's the thing. In this season of my life, I have no desire to drink alcohol. Now, who knows? 2 days from now, your girl may be at the happy hour looking for some drink specials. I don't know. But it's been over a year and I haven't had any alcohol, but I am clear in my position. In this season of my life, I have no desire to drink alcohol. You see how that frees me from permanent decisions, from someone saying, oh, I thought you didn't drink. I don't know if I don't want to ever drink, but for now, it's not serving me. I have no desire for it. Even when you think about relationships, when there's some tension or conflict, one of the principles that I live by in personal relationships, even in work relationships, is number one, I trust patterns over people. And so sometimes you get stuck in, why are they like this? And you start to focus on what you can't control about them. And that question only leads to resentment and you feeling powerlessness and you going down the rabbit hole of why they are like this. A better question in relationship tension or conflict is, what boundaries do I need to set? I know this person is like this. And so the only thing that you can do in situations like this is focus on what you can control. Your responses, your limits, your standards or boundaries. And so an even better question in relationship tension is, what am I tolerating that I need to address? That question gets to the root of the problem. It's not about them being difficult. It's about you now accepting treatment that doesn't work for you. So again, patterns over people. If you going down that rabbit hole of why are they like this, reel yourself in. The better question is, what boundary do I need to set? What am I tolerating that I need to address? So now let's talk about what makes a question better, because I want you to really start getting in the habit of noticing your thoughts and the questions that are recurring for you and recognizing when there's a better question, recognizing when you need to stop and assess the question that you are thinking about and run it through. I'd like to say that these are filters. So filter number one is, does this question expand possibility? Like, does this question open options for me or does it close them? And so, example, one of my favorite questions is, what else is possible? That is one of my favorite questions, especially when something happens and my brain tries to go to worst case scenarios. I ask myself, what else is possible? What else is possible is an even better question than, why isn't this working? Because then you're going to come up with a bunch of assumptions that keeps you stuck. Another filter to run it through is, does this question help me shift from external control to internal control? And that question is simply, what can I control here versus what I can't control? That's why one of my favorite practices is the circle of influence. And by the way, circle of influence, it's a brain dump along with what can I control, what's outside of my control, and some other questions that could help you move into productive actions. That is a part of the free 5-minute reset guide. I'll include it in the show notes. But that exercise, the circle of influence, helps you do a brain dump of everything that you're thinking and helps you to recognize the places, situations, or tasks that you are worrying about that's really out of your control, and helps you guide yourself to focusing on reclaiming your power in the moment. Another filter, does this question help me move from problem to solution? Oftentimes, I may say to myself, or I've said to myself, oh gosh, why does this keep happening to me? And I think a better question is, when you think about moving from problem to solution, it's, does this question keep you analyzing or moving you toward action? Because most of us, putting myself to the front of the congregation, we get stuck in analyzing. And so it moves you from, how am I going to get all of this done, to, Candia, what is the smallest action I can take today? Another filter, invite collaboration. Does this question invite collaboration? A lot of the times we struggle when we think we have these problems in isolation. And one of the benefits from me finding community, whether it's community in gardening, a community in my business, a community even in yoga, it helps me to recognize that sometimes my confidence and clarity is going to come from community. When you invite collaboration, that question becomes, who has solved this before? It's like, at the time I'm recording this podcast, it's spring season. I am excited. I am growing sweet potatoes and chickpeas and all these things. Now, I didn't have a good harvest last year. And so instead of me trying to repeat the same thing that I've done before and get poor results, I went right to my gardening group, because I invited collaboration by saying, who do I know has solved this problem before? And I do that in business. I do it when I'm in yoga or I'm preparing to run my second 5K. And so questions that invite collaboration is also a good filter. Now, this next filter, what's best for this season? Here's the thing, best is temporary. What's best for you right now may not be what's best for you next week, and that's okay. But I think sometimes we are stuck because, again, we're trying to solve a problem, or we're trying to come up with a solution that's going to last a lifetime. And the reality is, maybe it's just you solving for the season, what's right for this season, and giving yourself the freedom to choose differently in the next season. Another filter, questions that clarify your value and identity. I've been doing a lot of workshops and exercises, particularly with leaders, that allows them to look at the decision that they have to make and ask themselves, is this decision aligned with the leader that you want to become? Does this question connect to who you are, not just what you do? It's so very important to also make sure that we are taking actions with who we want to become, with who we are as a person, your core values as a person, not just what will make me look good. The last filter, which I think is also important, is, does this question help me reduce all or nothing thinking? Does it create space for me? And so I think I touched on it in a prior episode. What's one experiment? The experimental mindset. Because again, sometimes we think that the solution has to be all or nothing. And the reality is, for me, it's an experiment. What's one experiment I could try? Because when you approach things as an experiment, based on the outcome, it was a test. And so you're here to get feedback and to get the lesson. So here's what I want you to do: start paying attention to how you talk to yourself, to the questions you're asking yourself on repeat. Because whatever questions you ask yourself over and over and over again becomes the lens through which you see your entire life. It becomes the direction to how you show up and speak up in your life. For example, if you're constantly asking yourself, what's wrong with me? You're going to interpret every insecurity, setback as confirmation that you are inadequate. If you are constantly asking, why doesn't this person appreciate me? You're going to stay resentful and feeling powerless. So your reoccurring questions and thoughts are programming your brain. I always say this: you got to teach your brain how to treat you. So here's the thing. Step one, catch the question. When you feel stuck, anxious, or spinning, pause. What questions are you asking yourself right now? What are the things that you're saying to yourself about yourself? And then your step two is to run it through the filter. Does this question or statement expand my possibility or limit it? Is it focused on only what I can control at the moment? Is this question or statement helping me move toward a solution? Is it inviting collaboration, like other people to support me? Does this statement or question honor the season I'm in? And here's the thing: if the answer is no to quite a few of these questions, you're asking the wrong question. So, better questions don't just get you unstuck, they change who you become. Now, listen, my good people. Knowing better questions is one thing. Using them when your emotions are running high is something completely different. You know that moment at work or when you are with that one particular person, your chest is tight, your mind is racing, and you're trying to find the right words, but nothing is coming out right. That's the moment where most people lose it by reacting too quickly or even just shutting down. And that's exactly what we work through in my Lead Without Losing It workshop. Everyday practices that you can use in the moment when frustration and overwhelm hits, it's present in your life or at work. We work through these practices so that you can lead without losing your composure, clarity, or focus. Come through, okay? I'm going to drop the link in the show notes. I'd love to meet you in person. Oh, if you believe this episode could help somebody, share it, okay, with your people. Talk soon.